politics, and more with John Brown and Nick Durst, live on the UCY.TV network.
Hello?
Yeah. Oh, so the music cut out there a little early, but I'm Yeah. It's John Brown, and I'm joined, like always, by my host, Nick Durst. It is the 28th of December, and this is Spam, Sports Talk and Politics.
It's a special episode of Spam tonight. It's the Spammy Awards, Sports, Politics, and More yearly awards. We have a ton of awards to give out tonight. Over 30 awards, as a matter of fact. These are our end-of-the-year awards, like these superlative things. There'll be some familiar names. There's one guy in particular who won multiple awards, and he is a nut job. But, of course, we want you to get involved. Do whatever you want to do to contact us. You can either write to us in the UCY lobby chat, or you can call us 1-718-717-8296, or tweet us. I am at Nick_Durst, and John is at S_Sports. We'll have those awards coming up in the middle of the show. Of course, at the end of the show, we got to talk about the NFL. Week 16 just passed. Week 17 coming up in the playoffs. And a 10 of 10 tonight is Andrew Pollack, of course, the phenomenal one with the 10 biggest storylines in 2016. Definitely looking forward to that stuff. But real quick, because we did promise this for our wrestling fans out there, it's the end of the year wrestling awards, best of WWE 2016. And man, you guys are gonna love John's takes on this. You all know he's a big wrestling fan. So wrestler of the year, a lot of people will say, oh, it should be AJ Styles. Why not? No, it's going to Charlotte Flair, Ric Flair's daughter. Have you heard of Ric Flair, John?
Ric Flair. Yeah, I have. I think he's one of the old school guys, right?
The Nature Boy, yeah. Well, there's a 30 for 30 coming out of him anyway. Well, that should be pretty awesome. So she's winning Wrestler of the Year, undefeated on pay-per-views, which is an accomplishment that no one else has ever done. 5 title reigns within the year, 1 women's championship, 4 women's championship reigns, and 1 Divas championship reign. Unprecedented stuff. Probably the greatest wrestler, woman-wise, of all time. She's the Wrestler of the Year. Performer of the Year is going to The Miz. Just amazing stuff. He really brought on the mic. Amazing 2 title runs as Intercontinental Champion. The most must-see thing on SmackDown right now, and maybe even the whole WWE. A special shout-out goes to Chris Jericho because he was also amazing. Then we got the Tag Team of the Year, The New Day. They rocked. Longest-reigning tag team champions of all time. And then, of course, we have the most shocking moment of the year. that goes to Goldberg spearing and beating Brock Lesnar in a minute, which was amazing at Survivor Series. And of course, the Royal Rumble's coming up next month. But John, there's something we got to talk about here. That this is a big match coming up at WrestleMania. Shaq is going to be taking on the Big Show. How do you see that one playing out?
What? Hilarious. I actually really like Shaq. I think he's a super funny guy. I like the fact that he does a lot of weird cop stuff too. I don't know if he really is a cop or if that was.
He's a real cop, like part-time in Florida, where they got those fake cops and stuff.
That's insane. Like, imagine getting pulled over by fucking Shaq. I'm like, oh no, it's Shazam. Ugh.
That's hysterical. Yes, that's gonna be. I mean, I'm sure you know who the Big Show is, right?
Of course. I actually used to play him in my N64 wrestling game, just because he was huge.
Definitely one of the largest athletes ever. Definitely a genetic freak. But yeah, so let's look forward to there with the wrestling. And right now, let's talk real quick before the 10 out of 10. The state of the New York Knicks. Did you happen to see them lose in such Knick fashion on Christmas Day?
No, I preferred to have a jolly Christmas Day. You know how I feel about this Knicks team. I'm not completely out on it, but it just, I'm not a believer, if you will.
There's a lot of things wrong with them. Most importantly, they can't play any defense. So I don't know. And Derrick Rose coming out today saying how they're going to make a lot of noise in the playoffs. They can go to the finals. I mean, what is he thinking? Where is he getting this from?
Make believe? I have no idea. I don't know if that's coming from Dolan. If Dolan's telling him, "Hey, be positive," blah blah blah. I have no idea. But it's just nonsense. It's like Rex Ryan used to say with the Jets. We're gonna win Super Bowl. Whatever.
Well, let's talk about Rex Ryan. I'm shocked that him and his brother got fired 1 week before they were about to play the Jets at MetLife. I always look forward to Rex playing the Jets.
He should have got fired before this year started, but what are you gonna do, right?
Well, he was 500 last year, and he probably would have finished off 500 again because the Jets suck. Did you watch any of the Jets-Patriots game on Christmas Eve?
On Christmas Eve, yes. So I had a couple of my friends, the guy Brian, the guy who looks like Rex Ryan, Steve Kump, he was over too. They're both Jet fans, and so we had the Jet game on, and it was brutal. I actually turned it off.
I loved it. It was amazing to watch. So funny too. Jets fans thought they were going to win. It was 41-3 was the final. And, Ryan Fitzpatrick, this guy's like a cat. He's got 9 lives. You just can't get rid of him. Every time he gets benched, he ends up playing in these games. And that's going to start next week.
They don't have their quarterback of the future, quote unquote, is not on the roster. No one thought Bryce Petty or Hackenberger, no one in the league thought these guys were going to be starters in the NFL. And I don't know why, the Jets think they're smarter than everybody else. These guys are, essentially a team of bums. But what are you going to do? They shouldn't have given Fitzpatrick that money. That's coming to bite them in the ass, huh?
Yeah, and today they announced Todd Bowles will be returning. He had a terrible year, and then they asked all these guys for quotes like Sheldon Richardson, Brandon Marshall. Like, yeah, he should come back. But those guys aren't even going to be on the team next year. And let's go ask Ryan Fitzpatrick if Bowles should come back. I mean, there's so many bad quarterbacks in the NFL. It's astounding.
The one thing would be, obviously this whole season's a disappointment for the Jets. But it'd be one thing, or it'd be something else if the Jets' defense was still good, because that's what Todd Bowles is here for. But their defense has sucked. So why
defense has been awful. And of course, the Giants, they go to the playoffs despite losing to the Eagles in embarrassing fashion. But yeah, going to the playoffs. If they have to go to Seattle though, in the first round, I'd be worried because I don't know if they could win in Seattle.
Yeah, obviously playing in, Sefco Field or whatever it is probably going to be a little bit more difficult. But honestly, this is where, I praise Eli, you hate Eli, we bicker. But you got to admit, when the guy gets to the playoffs, he wins the Super Bowl. He steps up when the pressure rises, it gets hot and the cream rises to the top. He's going to, I have faith that he'll be able to, him and Odell Beckham Jr. will just take over a series.
Well, we can only hope, but I'm very concerned about McAdoo's play calling. But we'll be talking more NFL at the end of our show, giving our Week 17 picks, previewing the playoffs. But it's about that time, John. It's 8:10 p.m., and that can only mean one thing. It's time, once again, for the sports, politics, and more. 10 at 10. And here he is to give the 10 at 10, a very special 10 at 10, the phenomenal one, AJ Pollock. Andrew, what's going on, buddy?
Hey guys, how you doing? Yeah, I'm very happy the New York Football Giants will be in the playoffs. I'm hoping they're not playing on Saturday. That's all I'm hoping for next week.
How come?
I have a 25th birthday party to go to in Howard Beach, and worst comes to worst, he doesn't have cable, so I may have to be the one who brings the antenna to his house.
All right, January 7th, if you see a guy in Howard Beach carrying an antenna, you know why. But, Andrew, why don't you tell everybody what tonight's 10 at 10 is about?
Well, before we do that, let's get the intro.
And now it's time for the Spam 10 at 10 with Andrew Pollock.
Okay, so tonight, 10 at 10 list is a very special one for our final show of 2016, and the obvious will be the top 10.
All right, it says that we lost Andrew, John. Is he still on the line? I can't quite hear him.
Andrew, can't hear you. Yeah, he's just connected or whatever.
Hang on, guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up?
What happened?
Yeah, no idea.
You
You
tell
cut out.
us.
Well, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I have to sound like that stupid Sprint guy now. Oh, boy. Oy vey. Okay, so before I begin the list tonight, we have to bring up, unfortunately, this is an honorable mention, the celebrities that we've lost this year. I'm not going to get into that list because then it'll skew a whole discussion between you two. So, yeah. And I'm praying for Debbie Reynolds now. So let's hope 2016 doesn't take her away. So, on to the list. And we're going to start off from 10 to 1 like I normally do. So here we go. Number 10, ISIS. Oh boy, what a year they had. They have claimed at least 6 planned attacks on 6, planned attacks this year. The gay nightclub in Orlando, what happened at the airport in Brussels, what happened in France, what happened at the airport in Germany. I meant Turkey. My bad. Just recently, another truck attack in Berlin, and not to mention we had a bomb go off in Lower Manhattan because of these freaks. So, yeah, ISIS was certainly busy this year.
Okay, number 9.
Number 9, and this became a very big story right after Memorial Day weekend. The crazy death of Harambe the gorilla.
Hey, dicks out for Harambe, man.
How did you feel about Mike Francesa's reaction to Harambe?
Oh my God, that was priceless. It was, I loved it.
Can you do an impression?
What's wrong with you people? Gorilla.
Number 8.
Okay, so another big story we had this year. The United Kingdom. And I'm glad the people there finally woke up and regained their independence as they left the European Union, and it also led to Prime Minister David Cameron resigning.
John, how do you feel about the Brexit and all those whack jobs who said this is going to kill the United Kingdom and the economy?
Oh, yeah, it's, all the same doom and gloom sayers that if Trump's president, he's a Nazi, it's bullshit. I actually, funny story, during Christmas, some of my in-laws are British, and we actually had ourselves a little Brexit party. Listen, every country should have the right to their own sovereignty. Why is some random person in Belgium telling the British government how to run their country? That's insane. And the whole EU thing, the real crux of the problem is the fact that you have all these Mediterranean countries like Greece and Italy that simply just don't work and their economy stinks. And then you got Deutsche Bank who's just carrying them along. So, obviously we see what's going on in Germany, the migrant crisis. We see how terrible it is in France because of this. Why should Britain not be able to say no? So I'm glad that they finally got the freedom. Cameron was a sucker. He's a globalist idiot. I hope Nigel Farage someday becomes prime minister, but who knows?
Okay, let's move right along, Andrew. Keep it going.
All right, and sorry for people who might get offended by this, but it's time for a reality check. We declared Black Lives Matter a terrorist group.
Yep, I agree. And
Yes,
as they are.
because
Look at
what
this top.
happened with Philando Castile and Alton Sterling. It triggered Black Lives Matter to go even more crazy this year. And not to mention, it led to a cop getting killed in Dallas.
It led to 5 cops getting killed in Dallas.
Oh, it was 5 cops. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I
and
forget the
don't
number.
That kind of crazy rhetoric. What it does is it doubles down and divides us even further. And now you get these college kids who are saying, "Oh, people of color need to have their own meeting place." Oh, so you want segregation again? The whole Black Lives Matters nonsense really made the entire race conversation in this country go back 30 years. Not only did it hurt, obviously communities and community outreach, get police officers who were perfectly innocent. You had an Asian American and a Spanish American police officer in New York City who were just sitting in their patrol car get murdered by this guy for Black Lives Matters nonsense. It's just it changed their rhetoric was really dangerous, and it brought us back to like pre-1960s in this country. So now they're calling for segregation again. The whole thing is nonsense, and I would say that the number one contributor to that is our shitty media for giving them airtime. Because listen, it's a bullshit crazy group. Whenever they actually put a microphone in front of someone's face, they never get any actual demands or needs.
And John,
heard.
You're a big Hannity watcher. Do you remember, I think when they were in Minnesota, that they brought a reporter on the scene and the guy was pulled off by the Black Lives Matter protesters?
No, I didn't see that one.
Oh, it's on YouTube, believe it or not. It's like one of the most viewed videos this year.
Yeah, I gotta check it out. But give us a debrief of what happens.
Yeah, so basically the reporter from Fox News is on a highway in Minnesota, yes, after what I described earlier. And one guy's like, "Man, screw the police and screw you too." And like this black lady is telling the reporter, "Shut the F up. You don't belong here." And the same thing, the same lady tells him that. Get the bleep out of here. It's so ridiculous how a white reporter who's trying to do his job, covering a big story that just happened, gets told off by terrorists.
So, did you guys see the State Farm tweet on December 21st with the hashtag Protect the Bling, this new campaign they were trying to run?
No.
Okay. So, first of all, it's like this guy is getting engaged. He's asking like this girl to marry him. I just sent you guys the post, but the guy is like a Nigerian prince. Like he's very, and the girl is this little white girl. Looks like she's 13 years old, and this thing got backfired on them so badly because they're trying to promote this interracial stuff. People are tweeting them saying, I've had State Farm for all these years, now I'm getting rid of it. And, it just these things saying, I've never supported a company who promotes genocide like this. And they're like, why do ad execs like race mixing sales products? This is using fantasy as an advertisement. There's absolutely crazy stuff here. People are tweeting like blacks don't marry. They create welfare classes that live in Section 8. 72% of all black children are illegitimate, which is these terrible tweets that were coming. And then the fact is that the girl looks like she's 14. So it's really backfired on them. But I do see a lot of lot of companies now trying to like do these mixed race things to promote vibrant diversity, stuff. So it's really something to keep an eye on going forward.
Yeah, it's but that hatred you see on Twitter, that's like a knee-jerk reaction. You're gonna have extremes of both sides, but the political, I don't know, atmosphere of the country where they think they need to force this idea that every family you see on an ad has to be diverse. Listen, it's fine or whatever if it's something that sort of happens organically, then whatever. But it's forced, and that State Farm tweet, I just looked at it. It looks really forced because she's 14, he's like 40.
And also the thing is, it's funny because he's not even showing her the ring; he's showing it to himself. But yeah, she looks really like a little kid, so it really backfired on him.
Yeah, it's that forced diversity nonsense, and the real trickle down becomes, oh, this is the utopia, this is the idea, this is the best, this is blah 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 blah. And it's not from an altruistic point of view where they think that they don't companies. And I'm in marketing, and I've worked in all kinds of like different media buys, and when we're trying to get ad units out there, it's not that they actually believe that the diversity is better. What they want is they are so deadly afraid of someone saying, "Hey, how come your commercials aren't diverse enough?" And because they're afraid of that, they just go over the top the complete other way.
Yep. All right, Andrew, let's move it along here.
Okay. Wow, that was an interesting conversation. Okay. Number 6. Just recently what happened on Thursday last week. And this is something as a Jew myself, who, of course, is observing the 5th night of Hanukkah tonight. United Nations not vetoing the Israeli resolution.
All right, so let's go in depth here, Andrew. I know you want to talk about this. Give us your take on that and where Obama's stance was, and John Kerry, and how you feel about it.
Well, John Kerry and Barack Obama were happy that they did not veto the UN resolution. I feel, and I've always felt this as a conservative Jew, that Israel was always meant for the Jewish people. And somehow you're denying Israeli statements or Israeli land that, first of all, we're supposed to be owning, not the Palestinians. So these people in the UN are more anti-Semitic, saying that, oh, we're not going to let you build your property in your holy land. Well, newsflash, it's our holy land. Let us have it. Stop denying us the rights. So I've been very annoyed about this the past couple of days. And since it was Christmas recently, and, a lot of people were observing the holidays, I didn't even give my opinion out on Twitter until yesterday. So I've been really eager to get my opinion out. So that's overall how I view this situation right now.
Well, John, you've been reading up on this. Why don't you share your thoughts?
My thoughts on it being a Gentile. So, I think I actually have a pretty good spot to be, I'm further enough away from the issue so that my feelings won't get involved. And I completely agree with Andrew here. President Obama and John Kerry and anyone else who was involved in this resolution, because there's evidence that not only did they not veto it, but they were involved in getting it passed, is really, it's essentially Saddam burning the oil fields after he's retreating. It's Obama taking one last big shit on the Middle East to mess up peace efforts right before he gets out of town. It's the biggest slap in the face to our only ally in the Middle East, who have a humongous population, who are dual citizens. It's a democracy. It's number one in human rights in every one of those countries in the Middle East. And instead of helping them out and being on their side and just dotting the I's and crossing the T's and vetoing this, anytime this UN nonsense comes up, it's completely beyond me. The reason that the two-state solution does not work is because you don't have both sides, arguing in good faith. They aren't debating in good faith. In the 1990s, the Camp David Accords, Israel gave them like 98% of what they wanted, and they still refused any of the deals because, listen, the Arabs and the Palestinians, quote unquote, they want a one-state solution, but an Arab state where Jews aren't there at all. They don't want their own country and Israel. They want Israel not to exist. And giving them anything is essentially giving terrorists what they want. It's bending to the terrorist will. And that all that does is incite more terrorists. And, it's not all terrorists, blah, blah, blah. That's nonsense, because one of their big political parties is Hamas. Hamas is now an elected political party among the Palestinians. I would get in this argument all day today, because I watched John Kerry's speech, and it just so outrageous to me. Oh, it's Ireland, blah, blah, blah. Palestine was never its own country, never had sovereignty control over their own country. It was part of the Ottoman Empire. After World War I, the Ottoman Empire falls. It becomes under British control. In the late 1940s, after World War II, the British control and the UN create Israel. Now, there's two states at that point. There's Israel, and then there's an Arab state. The Arab countries, including Jordan, Egypt, attack Israel, invading the Arab part. Israel wins the war, and now they're supposed to give them. They won, so there is no two states. There was never a second sovereign state that was invaded or anything like that. So they have no ground to argue on, and the fact that they're moving settlements in is not even part of the argument. The peace process has been completely backwards. Barack Obama, with one stroke of the pen this week, he basically brought the entire Israel situation right back to the 1960s. It's a real disgrace.
Yeah, it's just a real disgrace, because Netanyahu, maybe 2 years ago, actually went to the White House, which at the time was, a historic thing, and you think everything was going to get better. But obviously Netanyahu is not too happy with the United States and Barack Obama at this point.
Well, think about this. This is a great example, and I think people forget because it didn't happen simultaneously. Look what Barack Obama did for Iran. He lifted all the sanctions with the nuclear deal. So he brought them into the world market where they're buying weapons and airplanes from Boeing and all kinds of crazy stuff now. And he also gave them $1 billion cash. He gave $1 billion cash to the number one state sponsor of terror in the world. Yeah. That is literally right in the backyard, who has a decree that Israel needs to be wiped from the face of the earth. If that's
it makes no sense. Why? I just still don't understand why they got that money. And they tried to secretly hide that they were giving them the money.
Oh, it was a ransom payment for hostages. That's all. That's all that was. The Iran deal is the worst deal that has ever been made in the deals of deals. It honestly makes me believe that there was some sort of insidious plans behind this, where Barack Obama has some sort of anti-Israel ideals that he's trying to push between this, because there's no other motivation to this. Nothing changed. Iran is still kidnapping our sailors. They're still taking hostages whenever they want. They're being incredibly aggressive. They're fighting the forces that we're training and we're supporting in Iraq. They have Iranians who are out there fighting with them actively right now today. So this Iran nuclear deal did nothing. They got everything and gave up nothing. And it's insane to me to think that these two things have no correlation together. What the Palestinians have no sovereign country. They aren't their own state. So this is really an Israeli internal problem. This is like if Hispanics wanted to create their own country in America and the UN was getting involved. Like it's nonsense, and the Security Council has no power whatsoever. America gives the UN its power, and by doing this, Barack Obama has really opened up the floodgates for the rest of the world to gang up and bully on Israel as much as they want, and it
proves more why Barack Obama will be remembered as the most anti-Semitic president in American history. I don't care what other people think. The man's always been against the country of Israel, and he's always been against the religion of Judaism.
I have to agree. And, he can say the right things, and he's a really well-spoken guy, but actions speak louder than words. And if you look at all of his actions, they're all really, really negative.
Especially how all the time he says, let me be clear. Well, what are you being clear about? We know what your views are on Israel altogether since you've been president. So it's only a few more weeks left of this, and I have good faith that the president-elect is going to do something about Israel. That's why I elected him in the first place.
Yeah, he's already stated on Twitter that all of this is going to change. His political policy is completely different. Basically what he's going to do is, if anyone in the UN acts on any of these resolutions, we're going to punish them severely. So
let me ask you, John, has there ever been a president that has used so much of his own power, he hasn't got, There's been so many times where he hasn't gone to the UN. He just does everything with a stroke of a pen. I've never seen this happen so much.
Yeah, he's grown the power of the executive branch with executive orders crazily dramatically. But on the same note, he's very short-sighted because guess what? He thought Hillary was going to come in and just keep the status quo. Literally, day one, Donald Trump can roll back all of those executive orders because they're unconstitutional. The president doesn't get to write law. Congress does. He gets to veto law that he disagrees with, but he doesn't get to make the own law. So all of those laws are getting immediately rolled back.
That is true. So obviously, Donald Trump being inaugurated towards the end of January, and a lot of things are going to change in this country and around the world. But let's continue the list here, Andrew.
I figured let's just stick on. I wanted to make sure that we could stick on to sports because the sports this year were phenomenal, except hockey. Hockey sucked. I'm an Islander fan, so I do not want to bring up the you-know-who.
Islanders looking great this year.
Oh, man, do not bring them up, please. Okay. So, number 5, we're going to go to college basketball because something phenomenal happened with the national championship game this year, and you likely will see it on SportsCenter in the next couple of days. Villanova did something historical, and that was winning the national championship on a buzzer beater.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Number 4, right, John?
Boring.
To me, the game was fun. North Carolina-Villanova was a great game, especially how I was rooting for North Carolina, but hey, Villanova got lucky, I guess.
All right, go Red Storm.
Oh, man.
The next time me and John talk about college basketball on the show, it's going to be about St. John's. Otherwise, nobody cares.
Come on, other people care. All right, number 4, Peyton Manning walking into the sunset, winning the Super Bowl.
Don't give Peyton Manning any credit because he sucked. Worst quarterback performance of all time in the Super Bowl. But I see your point. Number 3.
The Cleveland Cavaliers coming back from 3-1 down to win their first franchise's NBA championship. And, of course, remembering the LeBron James block.
Boring.
Number 2 has got to be the Chicago Cubs, isn't it?
Yes, it is. They finally broke the Billy Goat curse. And thank goodness they did.
I definitely think that's worthy of making the list, John. How about you?
Absolutely. Listen, the fact that none of the players were shot and murdered in Chicago this year should be part of the list. That's the impressive part.
Yeah, and just a ridiculous amount of killings and murders in Chicago this year. And we'll get into that in a little bit. We're talking some more stop and frisk, but now the cops have just given up, and it's just crazy. And people, I think like over 4,000 people were murdered this year by gun violence in Chicago.
Yeah, the more people have died by gun violence in Chicago this year than have been shot in Iraq. That's fucking insane.
Yep. All right, Andrew. I think we know number 1's going to be, but do you have any more honorable mentions before we get to number 1?
Oh, yes. I want to mention one more honorable mention, and that has to be, of course, Drake. I forgot to mention him earlier before I even started the list, and Nick thankfully just reminded me. Yes, Drake this year. What an impressive year the man has had. I think he's obviously Musician of the Year. That's no question. So, Drake, wow.
Didn't he set a record for nominations for awards?
Yes, 8 Grammy nominations next year. That is impressive. Not to mention that Drake holds the record for the most time a song has been played on Spotify, and that is Pop Style. Not Pop Style. Let me think of it. One Dance. That's the one.
Absolutely. All right, and number 1, let's make this list great again. Who is it? What is it?
Yes, you just gave it away. Donald Trump winning the presidential election.
I like it a lot.
All right, and it was historic, obviously, but we will talk about that more shortly. Andrew, that has been 10 out of 10. Play your outro music. Or just hang up. All right, so Andrew, thanks for the 10 out of 10. It was a long one, but obviously a big list for a big year.
Very important.
So, John, I think it's time we get into some of our awards here, and let's start off with, John, Andrew just mentioned it, but who is the biggest winner of 2016?
It has to be Donald Trump. From the primaries straight to the presidency, at every turn. There's actually a YouTube video you can watch where it's reporters going, "This is the beginning of the end, beginning of the end." Everyone said he couldn't do it. He does it. The biggest upset in politics maybe ever. Phenomenal.
Yeah, it was just really fantastic how he proved the media wrong. And on the other side, we have the biggest loser of the year, and I would say it would be Hillary Clinton. Do you agree?
Listen, it has to be Hillary Clinton. She spent $2 billion on ads. She had the Republican, the Rhino Republicans for her. She had the entire Democratic Party for her. Literally cheating in the DNC, putting their foot on the scale, cheating Bernie. They had the whole corrupt media. Then she has LeBron and all these stars coming out to help her. All of that, and she still could not win. So yeah, makes you a big fat loser.
Well, another side of that would be the most screwed award, and that it's got to be Bernie Sanders. He just got totally screwed.
Yeah, the sad thing about the Bernie thing is his I don't agree with him. I think he's a socialist and he's nuts. But he honestly thinks that that's the best course for America, and I gotta respect him for that. And he had a huge base of people that were really enthusiastic and motivated. And the DNC and mainly, Hillary's henchmen, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, they really put the kibosh on that, really for no other reason, just to get Hillary, it's my turn. So how'd that work out for you? But yeah, Bernie got screwed big time.
Right. And then something else before we move on from this political awards. Let's move down the list here to the sore losers of the year. John, I think it's fair to say it's the DNC.
Oh, it has to be. They've changed the story of why they lost like 6 times since losing the election. First it was white racist. This is a white lash, and then it was, oh, these Bernie or bust people didn't come out, and then it was, oh, it's because she's a woman, chauvinist, and then it was, the alt-right. Oh, then it was, oh, maybe we didn't lose. Let's have a recount, and then, oh, you know what? Russian hackers. Those Russian hackers. All of those accusations are unproven and untrue. If you look at the race demos, Trump did better than Romney and McCain. So it wasn't white racists that won this election. The entire Rust Belt won. Trump won the entire Rust Belt because Clinton didn't even go out there. She's the first president candidate in 150 years not to go to the state of Wisconsin. She didn't. She just did not plan right. That's the end.
Yep, and now we're living in a better America for it. All right, John, here's a very special award. And it is the Dumbass of the Year. Take it away.
The Dumbass of the Year has to, hands down, go to Sean King. Not only is he part of the Black Lives Matters nonsense, and he writes for the Daily News, which is a fucking rag, but he's also in blackface. He's a white guy. There's a bunch of articles that come out.
That puts us on our next award, right, John? Why don't you let everybody know what that is?
Oh, this is the Bruce Jenner Award. Or Caitlyn Jenner, excuse me. This is the biggest identity crisis of the year, and this is going right back to our boy, Sean King, for being in blackface. His birth certificate says white, he's been arrested, said white, his father's white, his mother's white, his brother's white, he's a fucking white guy. It's like mind-boggling. And actually, just before the show started, he announced on Twitter that he's going to be joining the Young Turks, which is sort of like InfoWars, but for liberals, these crazy idiots online who say all this crazy social justice warrior nonsense. They're terrible.
Maybe the Daily News finally fired them.
Well, I don't know how they were hiring them. They don't have any goddamn money. They're going bankrupt because they are literally a tabloid.
Very true. Very true. All right. The next award here would be the Good Friend of the Year award. You know, a pal that's always there for you, support you throughout. Who is that going to go to?
I think that has to go to Chris Christie because the jolly fat man, he was one of the first people in the Republican establishment, quote unquote, who came out and supported Donald Trump, and he stayed by him the whole time. There was a bunch of times where some other people jumped ship, Lindsey Graham, for example, but throughout Pussygate and all the other nonsense, Chris Christie stayed eating Krispy Kremes at the donut shop. He was good stuff.
And we'll give an honorable mention to Rudy Giuliani as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But the difference was Rudy isn't holding a political office. He's
Right.
still the governor of New Jersey.
Right, absolutely. All right, how about the Mad Scientist Evil Doctor Award?
This has to go to George Soros. So during the election, it got a lot of coverage, and then the ADD mind of America, as we are, we kind of let it go. But George Soros was directly involved in funding a lot of these terrible DNC programs and actions that were doing all of this crazy nonsense throughout the election, including Jill Stein's recount effort. Jill Stein only raised $6 million for the entire time she campaigned. She raised another $6 million in a week afterwards for her recount. And then they were also, he was pumping money into these electors to get the electors not to vote for Trump. He's really trying to pull out all the stops. He's a billionaire globalist who dreams of open borders. So he just wants to push an agenda where he's willing to throw away money. The one thing that makes him evil about it, and he did this in the early 1990s, is he will spend money on politics to affect the economy and then make money off the failed economy by shorting stocks and shorting interest or selling their currency. So he's a real scumbag. But hey, it tells you right now that the one thing that's great about America is no matter how much money you have and how big of a scumbag you are, in the end, you don't always win. Good to know.
That's very true, despite his efforts. The Colonel of the Year Award, many nominees here, but we're going to go with Bill Clinton for somehow, not once but twice, getting his wife out of jail, basically.
Absolutely. If you think about it, and when you take a step back, that quote unquote chance meeting he had with Loretta Lynch, our Attorney General, on her airplane in Arizona is so unethical. It's insane. The fact that our media didn't just bury Hillary Clinton then and there shows you that they were completely in her camp. That is such an unethical, crazy practice. It's insane. But life of crime never prospers. We forget that he was disbarred for lying under oath, and we forget that he can't practice law. So he's a president who left in disgrace. So I don't understand why they would even trot him out there. He's a rapist. He has all these allegations, fake sons, all these other women. And we know some of it's true because he testified that he did do it back in the 90s when Ken Starr put his feet to the fire. So, he's a dick and a scumbag. But hey, he's going to go rolled in obscurity now because it doesn't matter. Thank God.
Right. Absolutely. All right. We have a category here, Hero of the Year. We are undecided on this. Who would you say are some of the nominees, John?
Yeah, this is tough. This is tough. You want to say Donald Trump because he gave us a lot of hope again, but he hasn't really done anything yet. He's not president yet. So giving him that award would kind of be like us giving Obama the Nobel Prize prior to. So this is kind of tough. I don't know. Who do you think? Who do you think's just really killed it this year? That they did some one thing that was really great.
I'm not sure. It's really crazy. Let's see if our fans want to give anything to that. Write to us in the UCY lobby chat. Who's the Hero of the Year? Or call in 718-717-8296. But for now, we'll move on. We'll get back to that one. Movie of the Year, John. Lots of movies that came out this year. Of course, we do cover the Oscars on our show. It's part of the more. Some of the movies I thought that were great this year that I saw, I don't know if you saw them, was Dawn of Justice, the Batman vs Superman movie. And then I also saw Sully. And another great movie I saw was the Tim Burton movie, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, which I thought was very good. What are some movies you saw? Maybe we could decide on what was the best movie of the year here.
I don't know. I don't get to see that many movies. The vast majority of movies I saw were all saw a bunch of horror movies. I saw the new Harry Potter, which I didn't really like. This is tough. I'm actually going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to go with something that's not a movie. I'm going to go with a TV series on HBO. called Westworld. I don't know if you watched it. It was with Anthony Hopkins. It was literally phenomenal. It was so freaking good. It was only 8 episodes.
I heard a lot of hype about it, and it's coming back in 2018. But
It's all correct.
it can't be a movie of the year. It's not a movie.
I know. But it's
So we'll just leave that open for the fans as well. Sporting event of the year, World Series would be my pick.
Yeah, you know what? It was really nice to see Peyton Manning get that second Super Bowl with a second team. I know that he was basically done. He had really nothing to do with it, but it was nice to see. It was also cool to see Michael Phelps come out of retirement and still kick everyone's ass.
He was great at the Olympics. Phenomenal.
Who gives a shit about swimming? But it was kind of cool the fact that this guy was retired. Basically got off the couch. He goes, yeah, this is how good I am, and just beats everyone's ass again. But I'm going to go with the Super Bowl. It was nice to see Peyton Manning win.
That was a terrible Super Bowl.
I know, but I like the after part where you see Archie and Eli and everybody.
The after part when right away Peyton had to give Papa John a kiss. I mean, that was ridiculous.
Listen, him and Papa are friends. Also, Papa John has a drinking problem. You ever see him? He's always fucked up.
I don't know. All right, I'm saying World Series, but you can see Super Bowl. The stupidest trend of the year, I would say the mannequin challenge.
That's pretty freaking stupid. The ice bucket challenge got stupid there for a little while.
Well, that was 2015 though.
Yeah, you know what? It raised money though, so I guess there was like a purpose to it. This mannequin thing doesn't make any sense. It's just, be a mannequin. Yeah. It's stupid.
All right, so we got a bunch of categories here. We're running out of time, so let's run through the ones that we have done real quick. The sore loser of the year would go to the DNC. We already discussed that earlier, but then we have to move on to the body double of the year. And who would that be, John?
So that's the lady that came out of a 9/11, who came out of Chelsea Clinton's apartment after they threw Hillary in the back of that van like a hunk of beef. Listen, the old lady passed out. She lost a freaking shoe, and they tried to pretend that it was sweltering hot. It was 70 degrees. I was there. I was at the 9/11 memorial. It's nonsense. So yeah. I'm going with Hillary's body double, whoever that lady is. It was all over the internet.
All right. And why don't you take the next 6 categories since you can't put the winners any ideas?
So we're going with creepy pedophile of the year. We're going with John Podesta, who is Hillary's campaign manager, also the archetype of Pizzagate. The guy is a creepy freaking weirdo. Listen, even if all the Pizzagate stuff turns out to be fake, the art that guy likes, and we'll quote art, is like spirit cooking weird shit where they're mixing semen and human feces, and he's a fucking weirdo and most likely a dirty pedophile. Him and his brother, creeps. Terrorist group of the year, we talked a little bit about with Andrew. That's Black Lives Matters, because their rhetoric nonsense has influenced our youth way more than ISIS has. ISIS is much dangerouser, but Black Lives Matter has bled into our subculture. You can see it with that stupid MTV video about what white guys should do in 2017. Real disgrace. We're going with the worst tits in the world, and that's going to Lena Dunham. I don't know if you've seen the show Girls, but she takes off her shirt at one point, and it makes me want to fucking gouge my eyes out. It's disgusting. She's fucking gross. And she wins a double category because she gets ugliest on the inside and out. So I don't know if you heard the other day, she talked about how she wishes she should have gotten an abortion.
Absolute disgrace.
Like, listen, I'm actually pro-choice. I think women should be able to choose what to do with their body. But the act of killing a baby should not be something joyous and good. Abortion should still be in a negative, connotation, negative light. I wish I had one. She's a disgrace. And she shouldn't be famous. She's gross. She's ugly. Everyone hates her. But whatever. Made up word of the year. This is going for xenophobia. This is a word that the media loved using during the election. Xenophobia. It means that you're afraid of people from other countries. The funniest part about this word is, right after the election, the whole media got xenophobia about anyone from Russia. They're hackers. Blah. Ridiculous. And that brings us to the last category that I have here, and that's mainstream racist of the year. We're going with CNN. Their race-baiting ridiculousness was way over the top this year. They got caught a couple of times. One time at a Trump rally, they go to interview a black man, and he says not racist stuff. He says about how you need to get over race and become American. And they immediately cut away from him. And then the reporter on the other side that they cut to tries to say, well, that's not how most African Americans feel. They really tried to drag that wedge between Republicans and African Americans. And you know what? They rejected it because the turnout was way down, and Trump won almost double the amount of African American votes that Mitt Romney did. So it blew up in their face because honestly, people are seeing through their nonsense now. Thank God.
Yep. All right. Worst Twitter follow. First Twitter follow. It's going to be our only three award winning person right here. Who's that going to be for the worst Twitter follow?
Sean King. Sean King. He'll find an article on the internet and he'll repost it, but he'll say some stupid shit about it. Like I don't know if you saw this, for example. Carrie, what's her name? The woman that played Princess Leia died recently. He retweeted this tweet where this person said, "Oh, why do we care that Carrie Fisher died? That's just another white person. There's black people dying every day." Like, what the fuck does that even have to do with this?
Yeah, and I remember his whole Super Bowl thing with Cam Newton, just crazy. All right, on the flip side, we have the best Twitter follow. I'm going to go with RN's Funhouse, who is now Sports Funhouse. Posts great Mike Francesa clips. Definitely worth checking out. John, why don't you take the next 2, 3, 4, the next 5 categories here?
So we got most surprising death. I went Harambe, but Andrew kind of stole my thunder because he mentioned that earlier. So it's going to be a little more difficult. Maybe the most crazy death. I didn't know Prince was sick, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to change my everyday. I don't know. We'll get back to that one. Most surprising, still alive. It goes to Keith Richards. It's going to go to Keith Richards every year until he dies because the guy did heroin and cocaine for fucking 40 years and he's fine. It's insane. Most likely to be a man, we're going with Rachel Maddow. Most likely to be a woman, we're going to go with Rachel Maddow as well because we're not sure where she is. She might be both.
All right, take the next 2 categories here. Rachel Maddow, by the way, a very anti-Trump sore loser.
Oh, yeah. So the stories that died this year, stories that were really big, the media tried to trump up and they didn't work. It's going to Zika and Ebola. Remember when Zika was going to get all of our babies were going to come out, tiny head and die? But that just never happened. And then Ebola was going to get us all. That never happened either. Just propaganda bullshit, slow news cycle. And then the biggest media whore, this is going to the person that has just really will do anything and everything to get on TV. And that's going to Michael Moore because he has literally just gone bent over backwards if his fat ass could do that to get in front of a camera. He says outrageous stuff about Trump. He was originally that I would never vote for Hillary Clinton. Oh, I love Hillary. He's flip-flopped on a million different issues. The stance that Trump has about trade is the exact one that he was talking about in all of his earlier movies. So he's just a hypocrite, fat idiot who wants to be in front of the limelight. Now he's coming up with some idea to crash the inaugural because that will mean, you know what? If the inaugural gets protested, then boom, I guess Trump's not president anymore. He's really just a fat hack, and we need to stop giving him attention.
Right. And before we get to our last few awards here, Hero of the Year, thinking of going with the guys who found, spotted, and then shot the Chelsea bomber. How do you feel about that?
Oh, that's very good. Very good. I like that.
There you have it. And here's our last few awards here. The Liar Liar Pants on Fire Award. Could have been a bunch of people. We're going to go with Amy Schumer, who promised she'd leave the country if Donald Trump became president and moved to Mexico or Spain or something. Well, it hasn't happened. And also, this award will go out to everybody else who said the same thing. Sorry, guys. Canada is not going to take you. They don't have open borders like the United States. Shocking moment, and we discussed this many times. I was so surprised when in the last debate, Hillary Clinton said New York City is so much safer and greater under Bill de Blasio since he got rid of stop and frisk. And she also brought up Chicago. That was a shocking moment because not true at all.
Yeah. She lies blatantly a lot of times, but for some of the stuff that directly affects you, like things that you know for a fact aren't true, when she says them, they're like, it's like a slap in the face almost. Like, oh my God, did she just say that? Like, did she just mention Chicago with gun violence and it being positive? Like, does she think that New York City's better now than it was 4 years ago? She's out of her fucking mind. But it's cognitive dissonance. They just see themselves in this light. And then, obviously Bill de Blasio is one of her, is off her coaching tree, if you will. So whatever he does must be good, even though it's been an unmitigated disaster.
And lastly, the Just Go Away award could have went to many politicians, but I'll give it to Kevin Hart. I'm just so sick of this guy. He's not funny. He ruins the NBA All-Star Weekend every year. Just go away. Don't want to see you anymore.
He's a little bit of a hack. His shtick is I'm little and I'm black. Ha ha.
Yeah, ridiculous. All right, now we got a few minutes left here. NFL. We'll go through just the important games here. Obviously, Jets-Bills not important, but I'll say the Bills are going to win. Giants-Redskins doesn't mean a whole lot, but I think the Redskins are going to win. They got the Giants number. Who do you have in that game?
Please. The Redskins suck. Giants.
All right. All right, so here's some games that actually do matter this week. Raiders taking on the Broncos only matters because the Raiders don't have Derek Carr. They could drop out of the number 2 seed. I still think the Raiders are going to win with Mike McGloin.
I disagree. I think the Raiders are very much a Derek Carr product. Without him, they're going to suck.
Okay, we'll see. Either way, the Broncos are out. Then the most important game, before we talk about some others, is the Packers-Lions. All right, Sunday Night Football, 8:30. The winner is the winner of the NFC North. Who do you have in that game?
I'm going Lions for a multitude of reasons. A, I hate the Packers. B, I really like Theo Riddick. I think he might be my favorite running back just because the way he plays the game is a little bit different. Also, remember, I know that Aaron Rodgers has been phenomenal lately. I'm not going to try to take that away from him. But he started the year off very mediocre, and I think you can get to him. I think they're beatable.
Well, I think the Packers are going to win, and I think it's because they have the best quarterback, and Aaron Rodgers, who's been amazing as of late. But I want the Lions to win, so the Giants can go to Detroit next week and destroy the Lions. Wouldn't that be great?
I would like it. We know how to beat them. We beat them before.
Yep. And unfortunately, the Seahawks are playing the 49ers, though. So, might have to still play the Seahawks. I think they're going to win that game pretty easily. Other games in the schedule here that are important, well, unfortunately, there's not too many. Everything's pretty much locked up. Falcons are taking on the Saints. The Falcons could clinch the 2 seed. But, yeah, that's the NFL. We'll have to, just wait and see. The Dolphins are in. AFC set up.
Breaking news, man. Breaking news. Debbie Reynolds, Terry Fisher's mother, just died.
Wow. Well, Andrew mentioned it earlier. Things happen when you get older, and if you lose a child, traumatic stuff happens. But let's try not to end the show on such a sad note. Are you still sticking with the Patriots-Giants in the Super Bowl?
Absolutely. First of all, I think the Patriots showed you last week that they can slap down a bitch. They're really, really, really good. I think they're going to run through the AFC no problem. Obviously, the Giants have a couple different roads that could be really difficult. If they end up going to Seattle, that's going to be a tall order. But I'm still going with my beginning of the year pick, Giants, Patriots, round 3.
Well, I think the Patriots are just rolling right now. Who's MVP? Is it Tom Brady or is it Aaron Rodgers or somebody else?
Brady.
Tom Brady, phenomenal season. And John, let's end it with this. What did you say before the NFL season started in regards to Tom Brady?
I said, don't get Tom Brady angry. Nobody listens to me.
Don't get Tom Brady mad. It's the revenge tour. Watch out. Even without Gronk, they're still head and shoulders above the rest. The only team that can beat them would be the Giants. But will the Giants get to the Super Bowl? We'll have to wait and see. The postseason is coming up in 2 weeks. We'll have you covered right here on Sports, Politics, and More. Thank you for listening to the first ever Spammy Awards. It's been a great year for us here on this show. 20 episodes together in the 2016 calendar year. And we'll look forward to a lot more episodes in 2017. Happy